We know the muscle cells, they have sheets of connective tissue around each muscle cell, that is called as endomysium, and then a group of muscle cells called fascicles is having a connective tissue sheet, and then the whole muscle is having a connective tissue sheet. These connective tissues, they are running along the whole skeletal muscle and muscle cell and fascicles, and then they get merged into the tendons of the bones. These connective tissues, they are connecting muscles to the bones. They are also providing blood supply and nerve supply to each and every muscle cell. As we know, the muscle cells, they are independent. They are not interconnected. The muscle cells are not connected to each other. They are independent cells, so they need nervous system or extension of a neuron to get stimulated. So the nerves, they are passing to each and every cell. So there is a connection between an end of axon and a muscle cell, and we know there are these this connection is called as neuromuscular junction. And we know when action potential will run from the uh, in a muscle cell, in a neuron, it will end up in the axon knob, and in axon knob, what this action potential is doing, it will open calcium channels, calcium voltage channels, and then calcium rushes into the cell, and it helps to transport neurotransmitter here from the cell bodies, and then it helps to in exocytosis of these neurotransmitters. So these neurotransmitter, in case of skeletal muscle, they are always the acetylcholine. So in case of the skeletal muscle, we have to keep it remember that neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. It is an ester of acetic acid and choline. Choline is an alcohol, amino alcohol, and acetic acid we know is an organic acid. So acid and alcohol, they make an ester that is called as the acetylcholine. So this acetylcholine is acting as a neurotransmitter. So when this neurotransmitter is released, the muscle membrane is on resting membrane potential. It is negative from inside because of factors we know, the protein and RNA, they are more inside, and sodium are more outside, and potassium are more inside. They are because of the uh, sodium potassium pump that is pushing 3 sodium out against concentration gradient and 2 potassium in against concentration gradient by using ATPs. So there is difference of concentration of sodium and potassium. So these acetylcholine, when they are released from neuron, they will bind with the sodium channel on the muscle membrane and open the sodium channel, and due to opening of the sodium channel, sodium will rush into the muscle cell, and there will be change in potential, that is electrical signal. And this electrical signal, if it is enough, it can open sodium voltage channel in the other segment of the muscle membrane, so that more sodium will enter into the cell and trigger an action potential that will run on the whole membrane. So what is the sequence of contraction after production of action potential? What will happen? That how muscles they contract. We know the muscle cells, they have the contractile protein in the form of sarcomere, that is the arrangement of the contractile protein. We know there are two types of protein, actin and myosin. So the actin protein, they are enclosing myosin. They are making 6 molecules of actin. They are 6 strands of actin. They are uh, covering a single myosin. So these actin and myosin, they interact. We know the actin, they have the G-actin that has active sites for myosin. Myosins are the golf club like sticks, so they bind with actin, and then the Z to Z line, they come closer together. Sarcomeres get smaller, and group of sarcomeres, they contract. Myofibrils, they contract, muscle cell contract, fascicles contract, and then muscle contract. We will see them once again later. So when the neurotransmitter are released, they have open sodium channels. So the sodium rushes into the cell, and then it opens the sodium voltage channel in muscle membrane. So action potential, more sodium entered into this cell and action potential is produced. Then this action potential start running, and it goes to the T tubule. T tubule we know are the extension of cell membrane that are going deep into the cell. So they are right angle to the cell length. These T tubules are extension that are going deep into the cell. They are blind ended. So these are part of membrane, cell membrane. So they also have channel, sodium voltage channel and potassium channel. So these T tubules, they also have action potential when there is a triggering event or there is a release of neurotransmitter on muscle membrane. So this action potential influence the mitochondria that are present on the that are the endoplasmic reticulum on the both sides of the T tubules. So this assembly, we said it is triad, that is two endoplasmic reticulum or sarcoplasmic reticulum lined by a T tubule. So this T tubule, when action potential enters into this T tubule, these sarcoplasmic reticulum, they have stored calcium. So we said previously that calcium is more present outside of the cell, and in some cells calcium is more present inside the cell only in endoplasmic reticulum, like in muscles in sarcoplasmic reticulum. So calcium is present either outside of the cell, or it is present in sarcoplasmic reticulum, or it is present in mitochondria. So it is not present in cytoplasm in larger quantities. Why it is not present? Previously we said that calcium is required for exocytosis, calcium is required for the transport of material inside the cell, and calcium is also required for the activation of various protein as a cofactor. So if those activation of protein is not required, and exocytosis is not required, and transport of material is not required, then calcium should not be present in cytoplasm. Otherwise there would be an unnecessary transport of material, unnecessary exocytosis, or unnecessary activation of protein. So calcium is always pumped into sarcoplasmic reticulum from cytoplasm, or it is pumped out of the cell to keep its concentration low in cytoplasm, or it is pumped into mitochondria. So in case of muscles, the skeletal muscles, the calcium is pumped into endoplasmic reticulum, and these endoplasmic reticulum, they have calcium voltage channel. They have calcium pumps to pump calcium back into the endoplasmic reticulum, and they have calcium voltage channel to leak out calcium into cytoplasm. So when action potential comes into the T tubule, it influences these channels, calcium voltage channel in endoplasmic reticulum. So calcium leaks out into the cytoplasm. So concentration of calcium ions increases in the cytoplasm, and then this calcium, it goes to, by diffusion, it reaches to the uh, sarcomere, that are the made up of actin and myosin filaments. And we know the actin is made up of three types of protein: G actin, it is the uh, tropomyosin, it is, and troponin. And we know these larger beads, they are of G actin, and then this tropomyosin is covering these larger beads are G actin. So the larger beads are G actin, they have active sites for myosin. So these are covered by tropomyosin when muscle is in relaxed form. So these are not open. Myosin cannot bind with these open sites. Similarly, there are other proteins like troponin. these troponin, they are smaller protein made up of 3 subunit. One subunit can bind with the tropomyosin, another unit can bind with G-actin, and the third unit can bind with calcium. When there is no calcium, then these uh, proteins, the troponin, they are inactive. When calcium comes into the cytoplasm, by diffusion it reaches to troponin, it will bind with troponin, it will change its conformation because calcium is acting as a cofactor for troponin. So the change in conformation of troponin will change conformation of tropomyosin. So tropomyosin slips from the active sites on the G-actin. So G-actin become the active sites on G-actin become open, and myosin can bind with these open sites. So myosin is binding with these open sites. Myosin is already energized because myosin heads, as we know previously, they have ATPase activity, they have hydrolyzed ATP and have stored energy in this hinge region. So this hinge region is energized. So when there will be binding with the actin, it can bend automatically and push actin on it. So there will be shortage of sarcomere. We'll see in next slide. Here another view of the whole process, that we can see here the sarcomere. The sarcomere are end to end, they are lined with each other to make a microfilament. So in the filament, there are the actin filament and the myosin myofilament. So here we can see the actin, it is made up of bead like structure, and then threads are covering it, beads like brown beads, they are G-actin, and the brownish the brown thread like structure is tropomyosin, that is covering the active site on beads. And troponin is here only in groups, it is made up of 3 subunits. One unit can bind with actin, one unit can bind with tropomyosin, and one unit can bind with calcium. So here is no calcium, so the tropomyosin has covered the active sites of G-actin, and the myosin cannot bind with these G-actin. When there is action potential, here we can see the sarcolemma or plasma membrane, and in plasma membrane there are blind-ended invaginations, they are called as T-tubules. So action potential when is started, when nerves will come on this cell, nerve will bring neurotransmitter, release neurotransmitter, and sodium channel on this membrane get open, then the sodium voltage channel get open and action potential is produced. This action potential run in these groups or T-tubules also, so it influences the sarcoplasmic reticulum on its periphery to release calcium into the cell. So calcium is released, calcium will bind with the troponin, and then troponin change its conformation, and tropomyosin is changing its concentration. So the tropomyosin slips from these active sites of the G-actin. So myosin can bind with these G-actin. Here another view. So when calcium is increased, it will bind with the troponin, and there is exposure of the G-actin active site to myosin. Myosin bind with these G-actin, and then myosin is already energized, it can show hinge region, hinge like movement. So these hinges, they drag actin on them so that the the sarcomere get shorter, they get overlap. So the myosin, they bend and push actin on them on both sides, so the sarcomere get shorter like this. Here we can see the attachment of myosin to actin is called as the cross bridging. So this cross bridging is dependent on calcium and energy stored in the myosin. So here we can see in detail these beads are G-actin beads, and here the thread-like structure is tropomyosin, and these three yellow subunits are of troponin. So troponin is bound with, when there is no calcium, it is in inactive form, and when the myosin cannot bind with G-actin because tropomyosin has covered the active site on G-actin bead. And when there is calcium, calcium binds to troponin and it changes its concentration conformation, so that the tropomyosin slips from these active sites, and the actin sites, they become open, they become accessible to myosin. Myosin can bind with this G-actin, and that is called as a cross bridging. So if we see in uh, uh, cyclic activity of the skeletal muscle, so here we can see that myosin had hydrolyzed ATP and become reoriented and energized. Here the myosin is bound with ATP. When ATP get bind with myosin, here we can see when ATP bind with myosin, it get detached from the G-actin. So it is detached and it has hydrolyzed ATP into ADP and phosphate. So then now energy is stored in this region of the myosin. When it will there is calcium and it will bind with there is opening of sites on G-actin, it can bind again with the G-actin and use that energy to change its position. Here we can see it is non-bent, and here it will bend. So it will bend and push the actin on it, so that the sarcomere get shorter. So then ADP is released and ATP will bind to detach these cross bridges. Keep it remember that ATP is required to detach. If ATPs are not present, these cross bridges cannot detach. So for the detachment of cross bridges, it is needed ATP. ATP is only needed to detach, and energy will be stored, will be used in next cycle of the contraction. So that energy will be stored and it will be used for the next contraction. We know in muscles, the skeletal muscle, the thin filaments and thick filament, that is actin and myosin myofilaments, they are arranged in the form of sarcomere, and these form sarcomere, they are linked back to back with each other, and they are reaching through whole length of the uh, muscle cell. Or there are many microfilaments, they are linked with each other to reach to from one end of the skeletal muscle to cell to another skeletal muscle cell. So these filaments, when we saw that there is action potential on cell membrane, and then there is a release of the calcium into from sarcoplasmic reticulum. That calcium bind with troponin, and then there is exposure of the active sites on actin, so that the myosin can bind with them to make cross bridges. So first actin and myosin interact with each other, then Z to Z line move closer together. This here is Z line, and here again a Z line. These Z line or Z disc, they get closer because myosin drags actin on it. So myosin drags actin, and because the hinge like regions, they can bend and they can drag actin on it. So the Z to Z line come closer like this, and then sarcomere gets smaller. So sarcomeres get smaller, and group of sarcomeres contract. This group is contracting the that are joined end to end. So myofibrils, because this whole structure is called as myofibril. the microfilaments they made myofibrils. So then muscle cell contracts because the myofibrils, the fibers are contracting, so the length of the muscle is decreased. Then fascicles contract the connective tissues in between the muscles, between the muscle cells, between the groups of muscle cells, and on the whole muscles they also contract due to this force of contraction. Then whole muscle contracts, muscle gets shortened in length. So that model is called as contraction. Model of contraction is called as sliding model of contraction, that the myosin is sliding inside actin. And here we are looking at a two-dimensional, it is actually three-dimensional tube of actin that is made up of six actin threads that are covering one myosin